I want to shout out these special people, the people who have denounced their sorority or fraternity and came out of a covenant with whatever secret society they were a part of. And I just want to tell y'all a quick little testimony. So around last year or so, around this time last year, my roommate and I, we had stayed in my studio apartment because we were in this internship and money was scarce because it's an internship, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, we're 3 feet apart from each other. Our beds are 3 feet apart. And we decided to do a fast with Tiffany Montgomery. And the first day, 3 o'clock in the morning, we get up and pray, right? The first day she talks about denouncing from fraternities and sorority. My roomie at the time was a Delta. And so you can understand how nervous I was. Like, oh my God, it's day one. This is a little awkward. I never mentioned it. I never mentioned her being a Delta. I never mentioned her being in a sorority. I've never mentioned anything of the source. I never talked to her about it. I just let God be God. And the Lord had already shown me that she was going to denounce. The second night comes around, and this time she mentions it again for prayer, and I couldn't go to sleep that night. I was just reading about I think it was 1 Samuel or 2 Samuel or something like that, and where the Philistines had stole the Ark of the Covenant, right? And they brought it to their god Dagon. So when they put the Ark of the Covenant in front of this statue of Dagon, it fell over. And the head came off, but they put it back up. And then the next day, it fell over again, but completely cracked. They couldn't repair it and put it back up. At that time, my roommate was having a terrible cough, right? And it was she got us within her, she would not fall. And then the Delta Sigma Theta emblem on that scripture. And the Lord was just showing me the reason why she's constantly coughing that way is because the spirit within that sorority is contending against her and it's keeping her sick. And it's right above her head. It's like an altar where it kept going. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, Lord, if this is true, then put a crack in it. I'm reading about this particular story about the Ark of the Covenant, and then the statue being cracked because it's God's presence in there. You know what I'm saying? Nothing can withstand that. So I said, Lord, we'll put a crack in the board. And then I know it was you for sure, right? And I'll talk with her tomorrow, just see what her thoughts are, all that good stuff, and we're going to be good. I wake up and I scoot over to my edge of the bed, which is close to her edge of the bed because we're in a studio apartment and we're 3 feet apart. And I told her hey, what are your thoughts about, yesterday? I was like, the Lord, I couldn't go to sleep last night. This is what the Lord was showing me. That you have to take that down because it's keeping you sick. And she was like, yeah, you're right. I'm ready to denounce. I said, whoa. I have never seen anybody be so radically obedient like that in my life. She was like, I denounced last night and I'm going to throw everything away. And I said, yeah, you gotta, that board that you have, it says God is within her, she would not fall, with the emblem on there. It's you gotta take that down, babe. It's keeping you sick. And so she ends up grabbing it, right? And I'm thinking she's gonna break it and put it in the trash. But and I'm like, we could just make another one. We could paint another scripture on some stuff if you like. I'm thinking she's gonna throw it in the trash, but she ends up taking the emblem on because you just glue it on the board that she had. And as she's taking the emblem off, that cracked in half. And I was shook. It's after all of that happened, there were just so many people who began to denounce, in our friend group or around us. And I started to have a prayer list of people who I was praying for, interceding for, that they would come out of agreement with whatever sorority or fraternity that they were in. So it just started to trailblaze a movement, a small little movement. And my encouragement to any believer who is in a fraternity or sorority, think about these couple things. Remember that you belong to God and God first. We can all sit here and pretend as if these fraternities or sororities are Christian based, and they're not. Like, think about what you have to do. Like, it's twisting of the scripture, which is blasphemy. The process that you have to go through, the humiliation rituals, the things that you have to eat, kneeling before these founders, and candle lighting, and wearing the same color, like, and all these things like that. You're literally initiating yourself into witchcraft, and there is nothing godly about those things. And remembering that your identity is Christ, I don't think it's strange that when you cross over, they give you a new name. That within itself should let you know that it's trying to change your identity. God has given you the name that he's giving you, and now they give you something in correlation to your line name and to your sorority or fraternity, and now that is your new identity. And then even when it comes to the men who are branding themselves, did you know that it is an African tradition, which is basically saying, this is my lifetime pledge to this specific tribe. To the day I die, I belong to this. But you only belong to Christ. You are a new creation. You belong to him. Some people might say, well, I don't worship it, but you have every jacket, it's on your car, you got pens, you got pencils, like you got scarves, you got hats, you got boots, sneakers, everything like that. That is worship. Worship is not bowing down. Worship is not raising your hands to do something. Worship is something that motivates your instincts. It motivates your day. It motivates your mind. It motivates your actions. That's what worship is. Maybe people who will try to come against this, but think about it. Before you come against it, think about why you're going so hard for a fraternity or sorority, but you're never going that hard for Jesus. Okay? You can't serve both. You can't serve both. With that being said, like all things, bring it to the Lord. Ask him what he thinks of it. Not what you feel, not what your pride is, not what your family's legacy is, not any of those things. You get what I'm saying?